Please subscribe. Hello, RPG Maker lovers. This is a quick overview of the 6 types of maps that are available on RPG Maker MZ. When I say 6 different types of maps, I am talking about the world map, the outside map, the inside map, the dungeon map, the sci-fi outside map, and the sci-fi inside map. We'll start with first of all, with the world map. When we take a look at the actual setup of RPG Maker MZ, you will see that we have what's called tile sets on the left side of the map. And then you actually have the section of the program where you're able to place those tile sets to create your game. This is this section over here. This is the same setup for all the maps that are available in RPG Maker MZ. So if you take a look at outside map, same approach. The tile sets are available on the left-hand side. The location to actually create your video game is on the right side of the tile sets in this section. When you really look at the different maps, you will see that different groups of tiles are provided depending on the type of map that you are creating. Specifically for the world map, if you actually go into the location where the source documents or the source tile sets are maintained, that's in Tools, Database. If you select tile set, you will see that as a default, they have specific tile sets that they suggest that you should use for your world map. The tile sets that are suggested on the world map are going to be different from the outside. For example, if you notice, like they only suggested the world map A1, world map A2, which we'll get into more details because those are more animated images. They have world map B, world map C, but when you're going to the outside map, they also not only have A1 and A2, but they also have the building, which is like A3, walls A4, and also the normal tile sets of A5. So as you can see, depending on the type of map that you are working on, they've suggested the different types of tile sets you should have available. Now, that doesn't mean you have to stick to that. You can always change around and make whatever changes that you think is best. For other projects, I've actually created other tile sets and I'll bring them in. Even though I've selected a world map, I'll put some walls and things of that nature on those maps as well, just because I want to have buildings or anything else on the world map itself. So as part of this overview, what I've decided to do is I've created a mini game just to kind of take you through. It'll jump from each different world map, so you can actually see what they look like when you actually are working on the game. So for the world map, starting off, you see it has the water tile sets that you can have and the different approaches you can use for the tile sets. And then it also have the different types of rocks or ground that you can use. For the outside map, it's very similar to the world map. So if you think about it this way, the world map is a high overview of the world that you live in, right? The outside map is more like the town or the city that you live in. The inside map is inside of your house. That's the best way to think of it. The dungeon is obviously if you're visiting a cave, a forest, things of that nature. And sci-fi is basically more futuristic, and they're replicating the same for, I would probably say, for sci-fi. What I really wanted to point out is that when you actually look at each map, you will see that the water types and then the ground types a lot of times are different. For example, the world map, it provides you with two types of waters here, the more calming water. And the second one I would probably call like this one. It looks like a pool type of water, which is kind of interesting. Um, but these are the two types they really provide you here. Now, you can always try these, but this is not really water per se. The outside world, if you look at it, it gives you more options in terms of the different water styles you can actually create, because now you're getting closer and closer. Like I said, the world map could be a world overview. When you get to your town, you can get a better look at you closer in proximity in terms of where things are. You can have more options in terms of your water. So they give you more options in terms of the different water styles that you can have, as well as the ground styles as well. Inside, you'll still have people have pools in their houses and things of that nature, but then you're talking about the different types of tiles that you could have inside, like carpeting and stones and things of that nature. That's what you're seeing here from the different tile sets for the inside. Dungeon, obviously, it makes sense. If you go into a cave or anything like that, you would have, the typical marshy types of grounds, dark. So that is the same types of layer style that they have in the dungeon. To keep this really simple, what I did was, the world is very different from all the other tile sets. So I recreated world and copied these tile sets here and created these maps and basically said the exact tile that I selected for world, what would it look like if I was using any of the other tile sets? So when we take a look at outside, you have the trees here. Inside, it wouldn't be trees, it would be your bookshelves. Dungeon, I actually deleted the dungeons ones because they actually didn't select any trees or anything like that. So it didn't make sense there. But as you can see, the water are still the same with the dungeon in the inside map. And I replicated the same for the outside sci-fi and inside sci-fi. That's kind of like the gist of how they set up the tile sets. So what probably will help most is, let me show you the actual running of the game so you can see what the tile sets look like inside of RPG Maker MZ. And we'll just take a minute to kind of go over it. It's great that RPG Maker MZ's music is not as loud as VXA's. This is what it looks like, for example. I did a couple of tests here. First of all, this is what I was saying about it looks like a pool water versus the actual ocean. So you can have your preference, but it's kind of nice that they actually provide you with the rainbow and RPG Maker MZ. But you actually get to see whether you want to say it's volcano or lava or anything like that. You get to see what that looks like as well. This is the world view of the different tiles and what they would look like if you actually add them into your game. I put a door here just to transfer us to the next one. When you go to the outside world, this is what it looks like. See, it does have the feel of a town per se. This is the outside map. It has a town. Obviously, you have the trees you can have. I love the way they've set up the trees now automatically to allow you to put them on top of one another. So that's kind of nice. And you have the different water styles. If you want to try different ones, whether it's winter or anything like that, desert, sand, you have all that you can play around with as well. If you go to the next one, which is inside of your house, which is really kind of nice too. You have the bookshelves, obviously. Same thing as the trees. You can kind of see the tip of your head, so you can tell that you're there. And then you have the different types of water styles. The water styles in the inside of the house is really nice. I like that a lot. Now, this is the dungeon. As you can clearly see, it's not very different from the inside of the house or the outside water, but the water style is very nice as well. Like I said, you can always mix and match. So if you like a specific water style or ground, you can always try to create your own tile sets and move them to whether it's the world or the outside or the inside, whichever one you think that you prefer. So that way you can use those same types of water styles. You'll probably just need a software to do it, like GIMP or what is it? Photoshop, things like that. So you can use to move them around. Same thing here. You're talking about the outside sci-fi is not very different from the outside regular map. They made a few changes to the trees, but obviously, like I said, it's not very different. This is the sci-fi inside, similar to the inside regular map, not very different. Obviously, they give you these little sections here that makes it look like it's more futuristic, but still same approach to the overall tile set. And we're back to our regular map where we can move around. The only con I can see with this is really in regards to the tile sets that are available in the tabs B and C. I didn't talk about this before, but this is really outside of this because I wanted to keep this really, really short. These tile sets here are 48 by 48, and sometimes you'll get a section that's really 96 pixels. The character is 48 pages, but for to actually make the game look more realistic and have a better perspective of characters, they probably should have made this more around 144 pixels. So that way, when the character is actually standing in front of the building, the entryway is in front of the building. Right now, to get in, you'd have to get in the half of the building. Whereas if they had just created tile sets that are 3 size, you'd have been right in front of it so you can actually go in. So for this particular ones, I guess they're not expecting you to use doors or anything like that. But if you wanted to tweak your own, you can actually create your own tile sets and kind of change the size of it from 96 pixels to 144 pixels. So that way you have a third section that's right in the middle that the character can stand in front of to actually go in when you're ready to play. Okay. Overall, this is a great software. And the tile sets looks really, really good. Just as usual with any other RPG maker, as MZ is the same way. You'll just have to make your own tweaks and changes to what you prefer. I always suggest, creating your own tile sets because at least it makes your game look more, makes your game looks different from everybody else. And therefore, you're able to have your own original game versus the same tile set that everyone else are using. So, but overall, this is the game. This is RPG Maker MZ, and this is a quick overview of the tile sets. Thanks, guys. If you like this video, please leave a comment and subscribe below for future content.